Hey, how y'all doing? Mike Adams here with Mike's Damn Photo Journal. I'm back. Hey, in this little short video, I want to just give you an aerial view of the old town of Page from the early 1960s. Some of these old aerial shots are my favorite things to go through and to look at and to narrate because there's quite a bit of detail in them. And you can really pick out a lot of things that were going on in the moment. So let's take a look at this short aerial view. And I hope that it's a good way to break up your day here as we're socially distancing from one another. So here it is. Well, as promised, here's an aerial view of early Page, Arizona. I'm guessing that this was early 1960s. I'm, thinking 61, maybe 62, but I kind of doubt it. And I'll talk about that here in just a second. But, looking at the progress of the dam, which we'll zoom in here in a minute and look at that, and the level of the dam still being down there, I'm thinking, early 60s, 61 maybe. But it's one of my favorite aerial shots. One of the reasons that it's one of my favorite aerial shots is because our trailer is plainly in view. So if we look over here to the right, down by the airport, which is where I lived, I kind of grew up there at the airport. This area right here is our little trailer. And it's right behind the hangar. And basically, this whole area up top of the picture here, away from that trailer, was my front yard or my backyard, depending on how you want to view it. I literally spent hours out here, kind of lost in my own imagination, along the runway, watching planes come in every once in a while. Not very often, but every once in a while, they would come in, and spent a lot of time out in this area. Even back then, I was being responsible, and I was socially separated from the rest of Page because as an introvert, I didn't see anything wrong with that. I thought, well, this is just normal. And so we were kind of out here by ourselves for at least a couple of years. That's where we lived when we first moved to Page. My dad was a pilot, and he worked for Royce Knight. And I don't think he managed the airport per se. I don't think that was an official title, but I remember a lot of phone calls late at night, airplanes coming in needing fuel, and, my dad would be the one to go do that. So if we look again a little bit closer down here at the airport, you can see, I think this little building right here was the Bonanza Airlines trailer, possibly. I don't remember the guy's name that used to run that. He used to live over on First Avenue, though. And nice guy. I used to see him a lot. He'd come out in that little makeshift control tower, really tiny little thing, probably about a 8 or 10 foot high platform, and get on there every time Bonanza Airlines would come in, and he'd get on there with his headset and his radio and talk them in. So vivid memories of that as well. And of course, this trailer court I've heard it called the Mcs Trailer Court. I've heard it just called the trailer court. It was huge. And the streets were numbered, or the streets were lettered, I should say, from the furthest one away from the airport being, A Street and then B Street, and they would follow right on through. I think the last one here was P Street, if I remember right. So I had some friends who lived in that trailer court as well. And I remember being chased by a lot of mean dogs in that trailer court. So that's another memory that I have there. If we look to the top of the picture a little bit more, you'll see that this area way out here was the corrals. Anybody remember the corrals? Raise your hand, raise it high so I can see it. And then just in from the corrals, of course, was the movie theater. And you can see the projector house there in the middle. And I think there was a playground down at the bottom of the screen, best I remember. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But it was at that drive-in theater that I saw The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance was a new release, and it came there. And I believe we saw The Greatest Story Ever Told shown there too as well, which was filmed right outside of Page. So that's part of Page's claimed fame there. And then if we continue going out and to the left here, we'll see the dam. We'll see the dam site in all of its glory there. And again, the dam's pretty low. If we zoom in there, you can see that it's kind of just starting to peek over the top a little bit. It's weird getting, these weird perspectives on there because this almost looks like a pile of dirt here piled up too. But, obviously it's just the perspective of the picture, the camera. But last time we talked about that cement plant, you can see it there. All of that is there in all of its glory as well. And also you'll notice the original visitor center. If we kind of zoom in here and look at the right side of the bridge, this building that's sitting right here, it's kind of a blur, but that building was the original visitor center. and eventually got moved up into town and became the Lark Center, which sat right by the high school football field there on what used to be 7th Avenue. Now it's Lake Powell Boulevard. But this lookout point, you could come to this lookout point driving down this road here. That road is still there. It's just blocked off. But there was a parking lot down here, and you could park here and then walk the trail down to this overview, which was a great view of what was going on with the dam, all the work that was happening there. It's too bad we can't still get down there. I'd like to go down there just for nostalgia's sake and see what that's like today. But if we come back up the highway here, let's come into town, up that hill there. I know McDonald's used to sit here years ago. I don't think it's there anymore. This first building when we're coming into town, of course, is the Glen Canyon Motel and Steakhouse. When it was new, the next building up is the Voss Tron building, which I think now is City Hall, right? The city offices still sit in there. But back then it was the Voss Tron building, which built parts for rockets that employed some people in Page, and I don't remember exactly when it closed down, but I know I was there, but it's all kind of a blur. Across the street from it is the Page Boy Motel, and of course the bowling alley. You can see the bowling alley there. And then behind the bowling alley is the Bureau Reclamation warehouse, that long white building. And then coming this way a little bit across the street from that, you can see the original fire station, and on the back side, back into the fire station, was the police station, which at that time were the USBR Rangers. And it looks like the Windy Mesa was in full swing here. It's up and going, and that building next to it, it's a lot of things. I think that's been a lot of things. It was like a fix-it shop, and then I think it was a nursery for a little while, and wasn't that Bellinopoly? Wasn't that there at one point too? Coming back up to the right, you can see where, today's Fred's Liquor and, Warner's Nursery sat there, or is there now, I should say. But if we come back up that little Y in the road, come back up to the right on, I think it's Arrow Avenue is what it's called today. You can see those H-shaped buildings that from the air look like H's, uppercase H's. Those were actually barracks, and the building right in the middle, I believe, was the cafeteria. And at some point, it seemed like Page Market sat right in here. I don't see it there right now in this picture, but it sat there at some point. Maybe we'll see it further over on the picture in its permanent location as we move around there. I don't remember what's in this picture exactly. But also, if we come through the trailer court here, we'll see the infamous Teen Canteen sitting here. I never was allowed to go inside the Teen Canteen, but once the construction on the dam stopped and this trailer court emptied out, I spent a lot of time over here. Don't tell anybody, but I did. I kind of snuck over here and spent some time, and I remember that Teen Canteen, it seems like it was up on stilts, low stilts, not real high, but maybe I'm thinking of something else, but who knows. Anyway, that's the infamous Teen Canteen. If we continue down here to the right, we can see how the trailer court eventually expanded in this area right here, which was newer. And then if we come down toward the bottom of the picture, as we continue to move around, one of the first things you'll notice here as we come around the curve here on 7th Avenue, aka Lake Powell Boulevard, you'll notice, first of all, that Chapman's Trailer Court isn't there yet. It didn't exist. So that's another reason I'm putting this, very early 60s. But you'll notice that the Little League field was there, which eventually was going to sit behind Chapman's Trailer Park. Played a lot of baseball in that little diamond right there. And, of course, right next to it is the water treatment plant. This is actually the second water treatment plant that Page had. The original water treatment plant was down in the canyon, and it served the water needs of Page until this second water treatment plant was built. And the funny-looking thing right next to the water treatment plant was the go-kart track. Remember the go-kart track? That was a lot of fun. If you go on Google Earth today and get a look at that, you'll see remnants still of that old go-kart track. It seems like right around in this area here, there's a couple of remnants on Google Earth that you'll be able to pick out and see that old go-kart track is still kind of there, which is pretty darn cool. Had a lot of fun on that track. If we continue to go to the left here, you'll see a couple of buildings out here kind of by themselves. This first building here was the Dog Pound. And this other building down here, a little bit further down, was KPGE, the first AM radio station that Page had. It seems like Bob Bingham Sr. was a DJ at KPGE for a while. And then coming back up towards 7th Avenue or Lake Powell Boulevard, whatever you want to call it, we see the Catholic Church is here. And then There's a temporary trailer court that was here. I actually have a really cool picture of this temporary trailer court from ground level. I'll have to show you in another video. But this temporary trailer court was for workers on the dam, or USBR workers, temporary housing. And then if you come across the street from that, you'll see the old X and Y buildings of the school. This was like first through, I don't remember now, first through third grade or something like that. Was in those X and Y buildings. I think once you hit fourth grade, you jumped over to the other buildings here. But that black square there, or that black rectangle, was a piece of blacktop. This road that curves in through here was where parents would drop off their kids, stop right here and drop off their kids. It was also the bus stop for those students being bused in and out of school every day. And so this little drive-through area was a one-way street, and that was its purpose. That's its sole purpose. If we keep our attention on school for a minute, we'll see that these other buildings over here, this was the new high school. Right here is the A building. Remember A building? These were actually lettered, A, B, C. C building was the cafeteria. And then D building, I don't remember if these were E and F. I don't remember. I remember going up to D. I don't remember it going any higher than that. And A building was, remember here on the end of A building, this was the wood shop. And then B building was just kind of a small little thing. And then, of course, C building was, like I said, the cafeteria and the gymnasium. A lot of basketball games in there, a lot of assemblies in there that I went to. And it seemed like there were always cars parked along here. It kind of just seemed like the normal thing to do. And, of course, here's a basketball court here, this concrete slab here, and this slab here at the end of the D building or E building, whatever that is over there. That was like we used to call that the playpen. That was fenced-in area where, kids could play whatever, dodgeball or whatever. But it was fenced in to kind of corral you in, to keep you from escaping, I guess. But if we continue back around to the right here on 7th Avenue, you'll see the teachers' apartments. You'll see some of the church buildings starting to pop up on Church Row here. You'll also get a view of the illustrious football field, which wasn't much then. This little black spot here was the scoreboard. Spent a lot of cold nights up there. Of course, it was all manual, and so you had these big numbers, big metal numbers you'd put up there, and every time someone would score, you'd be up there changing the numbers. And I remember having my time up there with a friend, and he and I would keep track of the score as things progressed. And I remember those cold, cold nights up there. This area right here, right beside the football field, was the practice field, and I remember running wind sprints in foot-deep red sand. That was a lot of fun. If we continue around to the left, you'll see that the transit homes are all in their glory here. They're all occupied. Things are going well with the transit homes. If we get clear out here to the curve where North and South Navajo meet, you'll see that there's only 2 of the Butler buildings left. Of course, they're closed down by now. This was the original school here. But at this point, it no longer is functioning because the new school that I just showed you is opened up and going. So if we continue around this road here on North Navajo, you'll see that, 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue, there's just not much there yet. There weren't a lot of houses going up. There weren't any USBR homes built on these streets for whatever reason. But of course, these are populated now. All of this is populated now quite well. And if we go out past US 89 there, you'll see the country club, such as it was back then. Off to the left is what we affectionately called Rose Lake, which was a wastewater pond. And then coming back up into this, into the town, let me see what else I can show you here. If we follow the trail back up North Navajo across from the school, you'll see the Glen Canyon Clinic. And is that the townhouse right there? I don't remember. Was the townhouse built that early? I don't remember. I'm asking for a friend. But anyway, there's the park. You can see the park was in place. And next to it, of course, was the Manson Mesa pool. I got a couple of cool pictures on that pool that I've posted in the past, but maybe we should revive those and talk more specifically about the pool. Then, of course, across from the pool was the Pink Sands, the Sportsman's Headquarters, and that's been a lot of things, actually. The Sportsman's Headquarters is what I remember. And the MCS Apartments, which at that time were, pretty new. And then as we move down 7th Avenue, which is now Lake Powell Boulevard, you can see that, yes, the Page Market, permanent Page Market location is here. That's why the old Page Market isn't over there on Arrow Avenue anymore. It had moved by this time. And that building next to it was the post office. It may still be a post office. And then that smaller building to the right, I believe, is Rexall Drug. So as we continue to move along here, going back across 7th Avenue here on the right side from our vantage point, you see this white area here. That was a concrete slab, which was used for a lot of things. I have pictures of dances going on in there. I have there's a little makeshift movie screen, so it was like a theater that would be used as well. I'll have to show you some of those pictures, or they're on my website or on Facebook. They're already posted there somewhere. You'll see that in this area here, the original Babbitt's post office bank building that was there, the little business area building is no longer there, but the permanent Babbitt's building is in place here. And I don't remember when this little business building area closed, but it was closed and torn down by the time this photo was taken, and it had moved to its permanent location. This little building here that you see is the bottle stop, which today is Sticks Market. And then if we continue along North Navajo Drive here, you'll see the Page Hospital. And you'll see this white building here was the Bureau of Reclamation Administrative Offices. I think that was the original use of it. I don't know what it is today. I know it's been a courthouse. I know it's been some kind of city buildings. I don't know what's there today. But that's what it used to be. Remember, I'm bringing the past back into the present, so let's talk about the past. And you can see some houses springing up along here already on North Navajo, the rim houses. I was out hiking in this area one day, and I fell into a mine shaft. No, it's no joke. It's right behind the Warner's house here. There was a mine shaft, and I remember my brother and I were walking along, and one of us fell into it, knee deep or whatever. And we ran home real quick, which at that time was a house right here on 1st Avenue and Date, which hasn't been built yet in this photo. Ran home, grabbed a shovel, and came back and dug through that thing. And yeah, there were some caved-in timbers as the mine went into the mesa. And I remember there was a roll of string that we took out of there and took with us. And, who knows what happened to the roll of string. But there's a little mine shaft back in here. So interesting little piece of history for you. And then does anybody remember what this was here along North Navajo? Remember there was a cinder block. Looked like they started to build something and then just walked away from it. I have no idea what that was, but it was there for quite a while. And if you know what it was, I'd appreciate hearing from you because I've always wondered that. So what else can I show you in this photo before we wrap it up here? I think that's about it. Tomorrow I'm going to do another aerial photo and we'll talk about some other things because the thing about these aerial photos is you can see a lot of changes between them as the town would grow and as people would come and go, you'd see a lot of changes. So it's always good to pull up these aerial photos and check them out and see what they're all about. So I'm going to wrap this one up for now and tomorrow we'll do another one. Sound good? Hope you all are doing well. Thanks for joining me. Bye.